We're doing a little body stuff today. Got the fairing on. Let's do it. Guys, want to make sure you put a covering, got over your fender. We're going to get around the tank now, so we want to make sure we're covered. That's a lesson that was learned the hard way. I don't know if you can see it. There's a little dent and a chip. I was working on the handlebars one day, didn't have it covered, and metal fell off, chipped it. My OCD kicked in, so I had to spend a lot of money to replace this. So now I have a $2,000 garage ornament sitting on my floor. By the way, what we're installing are USB ports because we no longer need the cigarette lighter. I mean, who smokes cigarettes today, right? Well, a lot of people do. But who uses a cigarette lighter in a car or anywhere else? So we're putting in these USB ports to be able to plug directly in without having to have a cigarette lighter converter, something along those lines. Already did it in the limited, but I'm going to attempt to do it in the Road Glide, and I'm also going to try to put one on this side. My only concern is it looks like I'm going to have to install it in this pocket somewhere. That may remain to be seen. We'll see. The purpose for these, for me, is so I can light up my get back whips from TwistedGrip 00. This dude is phenomenal. Shout out to you, Dustin. I own a few of these, but these are the latest ones he made for me, blue and black, to match the Road Glide, the Mako. But I want to create a plug-in source, potentially full power, unswitched power, so that when I'm parked at a rally or somewhere and I might want to leave them on for decoration, that I'll be able to do so. So what I'm doing is just making sure that I've got long enough USB to go inside this. Oh, and I do. Fantastic. Fantastic. All right. So that's a good deal. So what we may wind up doing, instead of trying to mount these in the fairing, because the Road Glide fairing doesn't have as much space My fear is that these are bigger than the cigarette lighter. Then I'm not going to be able to get the washer and the cap on the back of it. So I think what I'm going to wind up doing is just running them into the pockets, the wire, and then just plug them in and let them lay inside the pockets. It's gonna piss me off a little bit just because I like everything to be nice and neat. But it will be out of sight, maybe out of mind most of the time. You know, I'm going to continue to look around here a minute to see if I can make it work, but I just don't see that being possible, to be honest with you. Part of the complicated part of this, I can't speak. Part of the complication is that these USB ports here are larger than the cigarette lighter, circumference-wise. Pretty obvious. So there's no plug and play. On the limited, I had to, and trust me, this was a very tedious situation, and I didn't like doing it, but I had no choice. So I took out the cigarette lighter and then took a unibit and just slowly went around and just ground it down in a good circular motion until I got it just big enough to stick this through. There's more room in the batwing fairing than there is in the shark from the sides perspective. So that's why I may wind up having to go put this back in so I don't have a hole in the fairing. And then I use these somewhere. Anyway, I've got these little plugs that fit in here that kind of fill them up so they don't look just, you know, blatant empty. But anyway, because the cap, you know, the little thing that comes from Harley, it breaks off. It's stupid. It won't stay in there. So you buy the aftermarket things, and they just kind of, you know, fit right in their plug, and they got little sayings on the front of them. I've got one somewhere because I use it, but like my dad used to say, and my mom, when I was a kid, if my head wasn't glued on, I guess I'd lose it too. So anyway, at the moment I can't find it, but it's around here somewhere. So anyway, we're gonna have to check the wiring part just to see, make sure we're good there. So I got these off of Amazon. They're just basic USB port cigarette lighters, and these actually come with a meter that gives you a voltmeter. I wanted that on those, but some reason, I guess I clicked the wrong button, so when I got them in, I just went ahead and installed it. This one's got a little meter there, so you'll push so you know how much voltage you got coming through. So potentially, if you're, you know, sitting in a rally or a parking lot and you've got your lights on for a long period of time, if you know, your battery starts running a little low, you'll start getting a voltage right there that'll tell you kind of where it's at. Maybe you know, need to cut them off, but I mean, these things don't draw anything, so that should never be a problem unless you're planning on leaving it on for hours and hours and days and days. And my only beef here is that I need to find constant power. So I'm going to do a little research and try to find some constant power. When I do, I'll be back and we'll... All right, guys. So finding constant power on these bikes is pretty hard to do. And where it's located, I wasn't willing to dig into the harness and sacrifice the integrity of everything to find it. So I went ahead and went with switched power, and I used the auxiliary ports. So if you've never been inside one of these things, there is an auxiliary port that sits right up under this on this bracket right here. So I took and
cut the end off of it and then spliced my wire in there and heat shrink and did it all really well. So, but that's the purple and the black wire. So they're going into the red and black and red wire and with a fuse going down. Now here gets kind of my ingenuity. I don't know if I said that right. My engineering skills. So it comes on down behind there. I couldn't find a place or get it in my head or my heart to drill anywhere in this CVO fairing. So for the time being, until I can figure out what I want to do, I have laid the wire just over in there without cutting or drilling naturally and connected the USB port just like it's supposed to be, but I'm just laying it in the pocket. So when I'm using it, the wire will just be hanging out like that, which is perfectly fine while I'm using it. I got no problem with it. It's not a big deal. And same thing on this side, except on this side, I was able to utilize the cigarette lighter wire, which came down and plugged into here. Now, I had to leave the cigarette lighter because otherwise there'd have been a hole in the fairing. So I took the wire, routed it back up into here, and pumped it through and done the exact same thing right there. So I know it's there. Nobody else does. I don't like it. I prefer clean work, but at least this way I didn't have to drill, cut anything on the fairing until I could just absolutely know for certain that's what I wanted to do. But with that all being said, this is what my end result was for my TwistedGrip LED get back whips. So let me turn the lights off and it'll get a better picture in the view. All right, so here we are and we are going to give it a shot. And there you have it. So when I'm going slow at a rally, whatever, I'll be able to have both of them illuminated and won't have any extra wires running across the outside of the fairing, which in case I didn't describe up front, that was my concern. In order to illuminate both, I was going to have to use a cigarette lighter plug in there with dual plugs. One would have went to this one, and then one would have had to have been routed around through here somewhere to go to this one. This way, everything's at least has the appearance of being clean. All right, guys. Good Saturday job.